Chapter 46. Bargaining is Best. I sneezed. The dust in the conference room swirled through the sunlight. I switched my hand through the air, making the dust twist and spin. The gray man sitting across the table stared at me with the look I sometimes got from Dad, like, "Why do you exist?" I'd already told them my story, the safe one. The one where Mom died, where Dad left, and how Billy and me were taking care of ourselves until Julie came. "So that's the whole story?" he asked again. Gray shirt, gray pants, gray hair, gray face. Sitting in a folded chair against a gray wall. Camouflaged, like a stick bug. Was that his survival strategy? The lady sitting next to him, Carla, made a clicking noise with her tongue as she glared at the man. Then she smiled at me. She seemed mostly nice. She flipped open her notebook. "We also have Officer Buck's notes, but we just want to make sure we're not missing anything." Billy asked, "Do you guys have cookies?" "I don't, but I can check in a few minutes," Carla said. Her brown hair, streaked with red, was tied up in a messy bun. Carla tapped her pencil so lightly I could barely hear it. The rubber eraser bounced, bounced, bounced. The door opened, and Dina, with her big purple eyelids, walked in with a tray. "Thought the girls might be getting a little snacky," she said, setting the tray down on the table, filled with granola bars, Cheez-Its, and gummy bears. "Thanks," said Billy, grabbing a handful of crackers. "It's from my secret stash," whispered Dina. "Do you have cookies? I like pink with sprinkles." Dina turned towards the door. "Let me check and see what we've got in the vending machine." I wasn't stupid. I knew what this was, even with the Cheez-Its and gummy bears and granola bars. An interrogation. Intimidation. All animals do it to get what they want. Standard predator behavior. I stared back at the gray guy. His hair hung in greasy clumps around his head. The button-down shirt he wore made it look like he'd been living in a camper for 2 months without normal bathroom use, instead of us. He sniffed real hard and rubbed the end of his nose. Then I saw it. A booger. A small, flaky booger hung down from his nostril. Mom called those bats in a cave. I would not talk to some guy with bats in his cave. The bat fluttered in his left nostril. "Can you tell us again what happened before you left the Jiffy Company gas station? You said earlier that you were spending the summer with your dad," asked Carla. Billy got real quiet. All I could hear was the crunching of her crackers. "Yes, I already told you everything." "You were to stay with him for just the summer?" I nodded, and then I shook my head. Julie had seemed so relieved when he'd come to pick us up. In the beginning, I hoped it was for always. In the beginning, I would have done anything to make us a family. But not now. Finally, I said, "I don't know." She flipped through her notebook and asked the gray guy, "Did we get a hold of this Julie yet?" He shook his head. "Just an answer machine, and the cell isn't working." I cringed. Where was she? What if something bad happened to her? Carla turned back to me and smiled wider. "Really, my job is to find out what happened before your dad left you guys, and also to find out what you've been doing since he left. I think I understand what had happened since he left, except everything's a little hazy on the part right before the gas station. How are you guys getting along?" The bars from the jail cell flashed in my mind. Would Dad really go there if they found him? What if nothing happened to him? What if they just let us go back with him? Then what would he do? I hesitated, then started. Billy sniffed. "Our dad went to get ice cream, and he didn't come back." The gray guy sighed and crossed his gray leg. His foot wiggled back and forth like a fishtail. He didn't care. "They're going to separate us." I could see it clearly written across his face. He just wanted to finish his job so we could go home and watch TV. Carla adjusted her glasses. She looked like she really wanted to help. She cleared her throat. "Did you have an argument?" She flipped through some papers on her clipboard. "It says here that you have a bruised cheek." She looked at Billy, then back at me. Billy stopped eating. "How did that happen?" I held my breath. Finally, I said, "I'll talk about it without her here." Then nodded toward Billy. "And him," I said, pointing at the gray guy. "I don't like him." Carla stared at him. "What?" he asked. "Go," she said, "and tell Officer Buck to come and get the sister." The gray guy shrugged and walked out. "Why can't I stay?" asked Billy, shoving a handful of gummy bears into her mouth. "We're supposed to stick together. That's what you always say." "We will, don't worry. It will only be a few minutes." Officer B opened the door. "Come on now, Billy. I do believe Dina has wrangled up some cookies for you." "Okay," said Billy, staring at me with her worried eyes. I shooed her away. "It's fine. I'll be out in a second. Go eat cookies. Tell Officer B your Barbie joke. A Barbie joke? I sure would like to hear that, said Officer B. Okay, said Billy as she followed Officer B out the room. I turned back to Carla, and right at that exact moment, she tilted her head just so, and it reminded me of Mom. Carla placed a strand of hair behind her ear, and then, as if on command, all the dust particles right above her head began to spin together in the sunlight. I knew it was time. Instinct was telling me I should trust her. I tucked my notebook between my leg and the chair. For once, I knew exactly what I was going to say without writing down all the facts first. I just needed to trust my heart, like Mom said. I closed my eyes and calmed the tectonics in my cranium.